All right, so hey guys, this is KG. I'm here to review, of course, one of the most talked about books. I mean, honestly, this year, Kennedy Ryan's This Could Be Us. One thing about this YouTube channel is you're not going to see me like holding up like humongous stacks of books. I'm not going to be like, telling you that I've read 50,000 books when I haven't and that you should read them. The books that I'm going to be talking about are going to be books that I have genuinely read or books that I have had really have researched and I will be reading, and they are on my TBR and not just like going to be just consuming a whole bunch of literature just for this video. As well, this is a physical copy of the book that I'm going to be talking about, but a lot of the books that I will be covering on this channel, sometimes I do the podcast style if you look back at some of my previous videos, and sometimes I'm going to do like, face to face video. But a lot of the books I'll be reading are on my Kindle, and so you're not going to see too many physical books if they're majority in my Kindle, and as well, they're going to be borrowed. They're going to be either from the Libby app or I paid, a really reasonable price for it on Kindle, or I got it from Book Outlet, or it was just like a really good, you know, month for me that I went ahead and got it on Barnes and Noble. Okay, so we're gonna start off with This Could Be Us Kennedy Ryan book review. I did read Before I Let Go. That book was like, super amazing. I really felt like, it it stuck with me for a long time after I read Before I Let Go. I literally was like rereading it for, a couple more weeks after I like literally felt that, okay, I guess I'm done with this book. Same goes for This Could Be Us. When I finished it, I kept going back to, some of my favorite scenes, some of my favorite quotes from the book, and I really found them to be just super cozy, and it just made me feel super comfortable to go back and to reread certain parts of the story. Okay, so if you did read Before I Let Go, it would kind of give you a backstory of all the people who are involved in This Could Be Us. But I don't feel like you need to have read Before I Let Go in order to like understand This Could Be Us, because it is literally a standalone, and it has its own, themes and characters within. So we're here with Soledad. In the previous book, Soledad is known as, a stay-at-home mom. So in this book, and This Could Be Us, it's about Soledad. It's Soledad's story. And so we do start off. Well, first we start off with the male main character, who's Judah Cross, and we start off with him and his wife meeting a divorce attorney because they're going to go through a divorce, and they've got two boys, and I believe they're both on the spectrum. One of them, is a little bit higher on the spectrum than the other one. I'm not necessarily sure how to word that, but one of them is higher on the spectrum, one is not. And he's going through a divorce with his wife, Tremaine, and they talk about how they like always prioritize their boys and their family overall. They kind of just, I want to say, like fell out of an intimate relationship with one another. So they navigate that through their, I guess, divorce mediation. But it does seem that they remain on amazing terms throughout the book. This is my Halloween Town shirt, by the way. I wore it for the fall season. So it does seem that they remain on amazing terms throughout the book. So you'll notice that. So Judah is like he's a forensic financial like analyst, and he works for a company that makes pots, and it just so happens that Soledad's husband works for that same company. As we get introduced to them, we do see that there's a bit of distance within the relationship. They're both about to go to a party. Soledad is getting dressed and he's kind of like, putting her down a little bit, telling her, don't wear that. And so we kind of see, there is something underlying within the relationship and we learn more. I think there's also two parts to the book. So it's going to be part one and then it's going to be like part two where, just gets like the full climax of the story and then, the full rising action and then the falling action and then the resolution, all that stuff. I would say the rising action does start at the end of part one and then part two. So Soledad and her husband Edward, they have three girls and they go to a party, and this is like a party for her husband Edward's job. And Soledad goes there and then she's dressed and she's like really pretty. And then like her husband goes somewhere because he's like, oh, I gotta go meet with my assistant. We have to do something regarding whatever at work. And he leaves Soledad there. And then I guess she's like getting food at like, the food bar. And then she, encounters Judah Cross. And then he's like, talking to her and stuff. And it seems like, he's like, obviously he thinks she's attractive. And then they start talking more. And then Soledad's husband comes, and then you can tell like there's this like male, whose junk is bigger thing going on, and Judah takes a step back because he didn't realize that Soledad is married to Edward, the Edward. He knew she was married to someone at the job, but he didn't know that it was Edward, and obviously we'll know towards the end of the movie why. So once she sits back down, she starts eating with Edward. They get in kind of like a tiff at the table, and she's just like unsettled. Her and Edward get at a tiff at the table that they sit in. So she just feels like unsettled. So she goes, and then like she goes and takes a breath, and then she runs into like the library at the place that she's at, and she like sees a boy there playing with a what do you call it, Rubik's cube, and she finds him playing, and then he doesn't say anything. He hands her the Rubik's cube, and then like they get along. And then Judah comes in and he finds Soledad with his son. The boy tells Soledad his name, and then when Judah's like, okay, we gotta go, Soledad is like, okay, bye. She says his name, and Judah was actually surprised because that particular son like does not even socialize with people too much. So he was actually shocked by that. So there's no real interaction with Judah and Soledad after that. We just navigate Soledad's life from then on. We navigate Judah's life separately. We navigate Soledad's life separately. Judah is he's just a workaholic. He's just constantly working and he's constantly with his sons. And Soledad, she's just a stay-at-home mom and hanging out with her friends from the Before I Let Go book, and just talking to her sisters on her phone. Soledad's mom passed, and she mentions that a lot in the story. Um, okay, so we're navigating Soledad's life, and her relationship with her husband is not all that great, and it does not improve throughout the story. When they get home that night after the dinner, they end up hunching, which was a shocker for Soledad because they haven't, hunched in a while. So she was actually shocked by that. So after that, they, go about their business and all that happens. Soledad's husband does talk a lot negatively about Judah Cross and how he's like getting into like his business and, upsetting him, but he can't really explain to Soledad like what his issue really is with Judah. So they're at a dinner. The whole family are at home having dinner, and the FBI knock on Soledad's door, and they're like, "Hey, we need your husband. He's, under arrest." And it turns out like he was like embezzling money and doing all sorts of illegal stuff through the business, and he gets arrested for it. The police come in and like just tear up Soledad's house, and this is where her life turns upside down. And he definitely does go to jail. The girls are devastated, and Soledad. And as a reader, we follow Soledad on the journey of her putting her life back together after this like horrible thing. What resonates with any with I guess what's supposed to resonate with the readers are the fact that Soledad is a stay-at-home mom. She hasn't had a job. She did graduate. I believe she graduated from Columbia, so she's educated, but she really took a backseat to her husband's career, and so she just really spent a lot of her time being a mom. And so we watch how Soledad ends up picking up her life um, when she's not being financially supported by her husband. So once he gets arrested, they, freeze a lot of their assets. And Soledad couldn't even get groceries. She had to sell clothes. She had to sell, a lot of her items in order to, live and provide for her and her daughters and still maintain, her daughters. I think two of them go to private school. One of them decided on their own that they want to go to public school. So Soledad is like, she does not want to take the girls out of private school, but her friends, like, they really support her. They give her money here and there when she needs, and they really push her to work on, trying to build a business out of her, social media exploits, because she's such like a do-it-yourself, like, DIY mommy, blogger, chef, cooker. So she starts building up on that. So when Soledad's husband gets arrested, she couldn't get any groceries. Judah Cross, the guy that she met at the dinner for at the party that her husband was at, he ends up, knocking on her door, and I think he texts her. He got her number, I want to say from like the company directory or something. He texts her, he's like, hey, can I meet you? And then she tells him, hey, go in the back in the shed. And then he's like, hey, just so you know, it wasn't my fault, because when her husband was getting arrested, he was like, oh, this is Judah's fault. We find out that the company hired Judah because they were missing money, didn't know where the money was going. And Judah is supposed to basically follow the money and see where they go. And the company, like, her husband embezzled like millions of dollars from the company. And even so, Judah was trying to find that money, and he's the reason that her husband Edward got arrested. He goes to check on her, and she's like, I can't believe you did this to my family and whatnot, whatever. She ended up writing a list of groceries that she wanted, and she was like trying to figure out what she can actually afford, and she left it on the table when Judah came and approached her and was like, hey, is everything okay? So by the time he leaves the house, an Uber driver delivers groceries, and she figures out that it was Judah who unsuspectingly found, her grocery list, and he buys all her groceries. So from then on, um, Judah and Soledad, you can tell that there's like a bit of tension, and it's slow tension, it's slow romantic tension. And as the reader, we are excited for Soledad to, pursue this new interest. However, we do understand that she needs to find herself, like, her husband's arrested and she still has to provide for her girls. It turns out that that night that they hunched, when he was like starting an argument with her, that night that they hunched, he actually gave her an STD. So her doctor called her and told her she had an STD, and she realized, and then from then on, she was like, what, I'm done with this guy. So she starts this thing on social media called Dating Herself, and she just goes on and dates by herself. She just like really focuses on herself, and Judah follows her on social media and then like watches her do stuff, and then that's like, their like intimate way of communicating, like, respectfully and stuff. I would say though, like, as I was reading, I was like, okay, I get it, like, you're dating yourself, but are you gonna like date Judah or not? So like closer to Christmas time, her and Judah, they hang out, and that's like kind of when they finally realize that they actually like each other and stuff like that. However, Soledad is still a little bit reluctant because of her girls. She's got one daughter that really doesn't like Judah, and she's kind of hesitant to pursue anything with him because of that daughter. We also find out that her husband Edward, remember when the job had a party, her husband Edward had to go somewhere with the secretary. We find out that once, because the daughters wanted to go visit him in prison, She takes the daughters to go visit him, and while she's, I believe, leaving the prison, she sees the secretary carrying a baby, and she ends up talking to the secretary, and she finds out that that baby was, her husband's, and it just really solidified to her that he liked what Soledad represents in the marriage, but didn't really appreciate Soledad for who she is and what all she brings um, to the table as a person. Um, so she realized she's thankful for her kids, but she's just like, you know what? I'm done. So Soledad and Judah end up dating one another, and the girls finally come around to it. They introduce each other's families to one another, and the husband, he ends up getting released from prison, and I think he like leaves the state, goes to like another country with some money still, because Judah still could not even find all of the money that the husband embezzled, and he embezzled a lot. I don't want to make this video too long. I want to give like an overarching, summary of it. This book is like 4 something pages long. Is it a good read? Of course it is. It's Kennedy Ryan. She does not fail. She is that girl. Um, so yeah, this is just like, out of like, how many stars would I give it? 5 out of 5. Literally, it's just one of those books, because I'm a mood reader, and sometimes like I'll start something and it will take me a long time to finish. This book, I was so interested in reading about what happens next, that it was not difficult for me to get through these 4 something pages. Like every single scene, the only scenes that I was like, okay, I don't really care about are the scenes with like Soledad and her sisters. I could not care. If I could, I would skim, but I didn't, obviously, because I didn't want to miss anything. But I would say that's the only thing I didn't like care too much about, is the scenes with Soledad and her sisters, whether they were talking on the phone or whether they were hanging out in person when they came to visit her, just to like support her through the holidays. I just was like, we ain't need it. We did not need it. Any other like major theme points in the story? Obviously, Judah ends up saying to Soledad, look, they end up being friends with benefits, because that's all that Soledad felt like she can give him while she's like dating herself. But Judah really made it plain, like he's like, look, I don't just like, I don't do friends with benefits. I really love committed relationships. So we find out Judah does want to get married again. Soledad was kind of hesitant, but towards the end of the movie, obviously they are in a committed relationship. They are not married yet, but it does seem like Soledad is now more open to the idea of being married to him. Um, amazing, amazing characters. Just, I would just say, yeah, get this book, read this book, and just let me know your thoughts on the story. Did you like the story? Did you like This Could Be Us better than Before I Let Go? Did you like Before I Let Go better than This Could Be Us? I do want to say Josiah and Judah are giving, yeah, are giving book boyfriends, book husbands, like they're giving the realness. And I just can't wait to see what happens with the other character. All right. So just let me know in the comments. Like the video if you don't get a chance. You can follow me on TikTok as well. It would be awesome. I'm the mommy. I'll link my TikTok in this video, because I'm not really sure what it is. I just recently changed it. All right. But comment, let me know what you thought about the story. Did I cover everything? I hope I did. I didn't want to make this super long. Let me know. And also let me know if you guys prefer the podcast style videos or if you prefer these videos. All right. Thank you.